All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Traversing the Veil. Yes, this is one of my custom D&D campaigns set in my really screwed up custom world, and the people below me are the people that have probably mentioned me to their therapists. So, yeah. That being said, if there are weird things happening as far as the layout and everything, that is because I've had to kind of redo the layout because I screwed it up incredibly when I was doing all the one shots. So yes, please forgive me for that. Otherwise, quick announcement. On my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/TrainerJody, where I upload all of these videos. I'm currently doing a series on a class that Matt Mercer published like 6 years ago called The Lingering Soul. And I'm doing that because Critical Role's Tal'Dorei Reborn launches in a couple weeks here. So if you like D&D stuff, I have an entire series called D&D Deep Dive where for the past like 6 or 7 months, I've actually been reviewing and doing deep dives on classes from Final Fantasy XIV that somebody was brave enough to create D&D versions of every single Final Fantasy XIV class, of which there's like 30. Like I started it because Final Fantasy XIV was popular over the summer, and I had no idea just how far. And not only for every single class did they make a D&D class, they made 3 subclasses for each class. So it was just a mind-bogglingly large thing. But I finished it, and now I'm trying to get back into official D&D stuff. So, K-Dog, DM is stands for Dungeon Master, which is exclusive to Dungeons and Dragons. To the point where I believe they may even have a trademark on the term. GM is Game Master, and that technically works for anything. So all Dungeon Masters are Game Masters. Not all Game Masters are Dungeon Masters. I go with whatever the setting calls it. I believe in the World of Darkness stuff. There's storytellers. Like every setting has a different
narrators.
Narrator, yeah. Every setting has a different word for who's running it. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons long enough that DM is what I'm used to, and so I tend to say DM more than anything else. So, but yeah, the correct term, if you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons, tends to be Game Master. Just because, again, it is exclusively. I want to say Wizards of the Coast has a trademark on it. And that's why nobody else uses it, but I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me. Anyway, anyone else have fancy stuff that they're doing right now? Any announcements?
I am currently the GM of another partial. It's one part homebrew, one part pre-made module. I basically took one of my favorite video games and reformatted it into a TTRPG format for a bunch of friends of mine. We play every Friday. It is called The Great Poison, and it is based off of the very first game in the Metroid Prime trilogy. Except replacing Samus Aran with a whole team of mercs.
So you should talk to my friend Elias. Elias is the manager for Zelda Universe's Twitch channel. He runs all the Twitch stuff there. He also helped found Metroid HQ. Yeah. So he's huge. He's probably the biggest Metroid fan that exists. So.
Well, he will
and
either
Metroid Prime is his favorite series.
Then he will either love or absolutely despise what I'm doing, because I've had to change a lot of things to fit the format. Names had to be changed. Locations names had to be changed. Like so much stuff had to be turned around.
I promise we will get to the game in a second here, but this is fun. So.
This is part of the D&D experience, in my opinion. I report this every time.
Years ago, after I was not picked to be a Geek and Sundry vlogger, for very good reasons. I was not ready to be a Geek and Sundry of a vlogger, but me and a couple other people created this collab channel called the Daily Elixir, and I used to do a show on there called Lore Explore, which one day I may revive because I really liked it. But basically, I would just do I would talk about lore for various games or books or whatever, and Elias joined me on my Zelda lore one where we talked about the creation myth for Hyrule. And in there, we effectively proved that the Metroid series is effectively just a prequel series to the Legend of Zelda series. Because in, I believe it's the Super Nintendo manual where it first mentions the creation myth, it mentions that the three goddesses came from a distant galaxy. And so the running joke with Elias and me now is like, oh yeah, what's your favorite Zelda game? Metroid Prime.
Wouldn't it also make sense that Metroid exists in the Kid Icarus universe because Metroids, the creature, appear in both games?
Yeah, that's true.
There's not as much connecting as far as, like, again, this was just a joke that we made during this video, which was one of the most popular videos on that channel. I think the only one's more popular is when I talked about the Time of Troubles from Forgotten Realms, which still gets views to this day. But yeah, for one of the special episodes of Realms of the Wild, the most recent one, I took them back in time to the time of Samus Aran, and they all got to take their Zelda characters and play Metroid. And one of them got Samus's suit, and she loved it. And yeah, it was really fun. And I went and I got sound bites of all these different Metroid songs. So anytime they would, like, we literally just went through all 4 of the mainline Metroid games. And so I just had, like, the Brainstar thing, the ba da 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 from the NES. I just had that playing. Yeah, it was super, super fun. And that's the kind of stuff I like to do to Elias, is I will just put things in there that irk him every so often. Because I'm that kind of a friend.
Yeah, are you gonna do like a sequel to that for Metroid Dread?
I have no idea. Again, it was one of the things we do in Realms is the audience can use a thing that predates channel points, but it's effectively the same thing to affect the game. Kind of like you can do here, but I don't have any of them on right now. I have to change that. But one of the things they can do is they can spend a huge amount of rupees, which is their channel points, for us to have a special episode. And the special episode generally tends to be something just bizarre. One of our more recent ones is we did Realms Randomized, where I still have the tables of these random classes that I found.
The and first you expanded them.
Yeah, I have 100 different random classes now. They're all just bizarre class names that I found from real RPGs. Things
I showed restraint. I could have kept Kiri going as a DM for a very long time, but I chose not to.
Anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that we did, and this was one of the things that I did, and I had fun with it. I don't know if Elias.
Bonus points if one of those games had some sort of pedestal seed related thing.
The amount of crazy things I've done to D&D players, like one of my parody campaign that I need to do another episode of. There's nothing fun to parody right now in the world. Anything I would parody right now would just feel bad. See you, Kid Out. Yeah, I turned my D&D players into the Avengers. I turned them into the Power Rangers. I had them go through a theme park themed about the adventures of another parody game that I ran. Like, I do weird stuff. I once sent them to a parallel dimension called the Interwebs, where they fought internet trolls and memes. Like,
Freaking love that.
anyway, I think it's time for us to return to traversing the veil. The veil can be a pretty hard existence. Sailing from port to port, making what money you can, hopefully enough to pay for your next meal, your next stop. People tend to come and go like waves. And unfortunately, that's what's happened recently. The party started relatively intact, a four-man party, but soon started seeing their members leave. They lost their warforged paladin when he was stolen from them. They lost their captain when she decided to remain back and try to locate the rest of her missing crew. And today they have to deal with another loss. Having recently returned to this as a skywell, they found the entire station occupied by some clandestine force. They have no idea where they were from, but it was very obvious they had training. And they seemed to be doing nothing except buying up property in this skywell and annoying people. After doing a little bit of investigating, they eventually started to see the beginnings of threads of what might lead them to a solution, but as quickly as they found them, everyone left. In a large movement, literally the entire effectively occupying force got on their ships and left. And now the crew has to figure out what to do in the next. I wish I had a fade out button. So, the group that was effectively controlling everything has left. And as you guys noticed, you were, when the order for everyone to leave came in, you guys were in that little cafeteria. And they didn't just pack up their stuff and, made an orderly exit. They left everything exactly where it was and ran to their ships. So now, looking around the skywell, it seems almost like a ghost town. There are shops that have product in them, but no one running them. There are entire areas of the station that are now completely abandoned. And the people that hadn't moved on are now trying to figure out what to do now. Major parts of their economy has literally just disappeared. Seeing this and having the connection that he had with the people here at the Skywell, having been here for a very long time, Zarian has informed all of you that he's decided to stay in the Skywell to help them rebuild as much as they can, and hopefully to be able to discover more from the various groups that leave the Skywell to go out into the Southern Outlands and come back, hopefully. He feels that he'll be able to find more information to help him find Lucky here than he'll be able to find as a member of your crew.
Okay, but if anything suspicious comes up, inform us right away if you can.
He nods and He takes out of his pocket a small pearl, and he gives it to you, Allie.
Oh,
He goes, "If I ever need to contact you guys, just hold on to that pearl."
okay.
So, you guys are on. You are currently. There we go. You guys are currently in a cafe on the Skywell. One of the few businesses that weren't taken over by whomever was here previously. And it has become a little bit of like a town hall for the most part. People will come in, they'll have meetings into the things here. At this particular point in time, there are no meetings going on, but it is quite literally the busiest place on the Skywell because it's the central location that everyone goes to find out what's going on. With the fact that the people running the docks have quite literally disappeared, you no longer have fees to have your ship docked. There's no one to collect the fees.
Well, we already paid though, right?
Well, you paid for, I believe you guys paid for like a day or two. Like it wasn't an exorbitant amount. And now, until someone else takes over the operation of the docks, you have free board.
Maybe I can collect myself a refund before we head out.
Yeah, maybe.
No, you're welcome to explore that.
Hmm.
So, what would you like to do?
In the meantime, you guys are probably right. We should probably try to look for a new job to tackle.
Yeah, but something tells me we're not going to find it in this place,
Not until this
Alright.
place starts getting hopping again.
which
Chill.
might be a while. What's the next inhabited island past
Hmm.
this point?
Well, there's a Bia, and then there's Spheros. As I recall, there was some shenanigans currently going on in a couple different locations.
Hmm.
Um, I think there was some stuff going down in Vox's Landing, and I think also possibly was that a Bia, correct, Jody?
So, there's always things going on in Vox's Landing, to be
Well,
blunt.
there was like some dust kicking up. If I recall,
You guys heard some rumors about something going on in Vox's Landing?
with the
And
fighting among the lords.
yeah, which is
Ah,
not
yeah.
100% out of the norm. Like they're constantly tussling. The rumor that you guys heard more recently was that there was actual conflict,
Yeah.
which generally doesn't happen between the people that run Vox's Landing. They tend to fight more economic war than they do actual conflict.
Hey, I will be right back. I do
Okay.
apologize.
Not a problem.
Mm.
And then Abia is effectively run by we just switched everybody. Okay.
Oh boy.
Abia is effectively run by the criminal underworld there. So Abia always has something going on.
Hmm.
They're scum and villainy, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This is so. So from where you guys are, Abia is technically the closest large city to where you are. And you do have enough supplies and everything to get to Abia without any difficulty whatsoever. Otherwise, Vox's Landing, again, is in the middle of the Fading Isles, which always has work, if you're willing to do mining or the things like that. Otherwise, if you want to go north, Soulwatch Tower is controlled by the Sovereignty. You don't get work at Soulwatch Tower. You get sent there. And then Psychocali Station to the far north would also have work, though it's probably going to be a little bit more along the lines of transferring goods and the things like that. So, and again, there's always a chance that you can head into further into the core itself. I mean, you could go all the way into Imperius if you wanted to. It is entirely up to you where you want to look for work. Normally, the Skywell has a decent number of jobs available as well. It's just currently no one, 3/4 of the city have just picked up and left. So,
Yeah.
And again, who knows how long it's going to take before things pick up.
Yeah. Well, there's our options. I mean, unless someone else has ideas, we have a quarter of our hold has some very esoteric books paraphernalia in regards to old Nope Island, and I don't know if maybe we want to try and head to Zuros to see if maybe we can find a buyer, at least someone who might be interested, and maybe find some work there. If someone else has got an idea.
I honestly am good with whatever.
Yeah, me too.
I just realized I should probably turn your camera back on, Reggie.
Oh,
You were just an esoteric voice.
oh, okay then.
So, what do you all want to do?
Well, let's head out. I mean, we're pretty good to go. Oh, but before we head out, before we officially board the boat, I want to quickly make a pit stop back at that landings office where I had to pay the fee.
Sure.
Oh.
All right. So as you guys get all your stuff, and again, the further away you get from this cafe, which is called the Dachshund, the further away from the Dachshund that you get, the less you see of people. Like, there are so few people here that they tend to kind of congregate in the most inhabited spots. And so half of your trip to the southeastern dock where you guys are stationed is devoid of all contact. When you get there, there's no one in the dock either. You guys were the only non-associated ship there, and you still are. So what would you like to do?
Well, I'm beelining straight to that office where that prick extorted us.
So as you get there, door's locked.
Okay, I'm not giving up. Hold on. Do I have my... I'm going to try and use my Thieves' Duels to try to pick the lock. This is a matter of pride. I want to get my money back.
Go for it. Go ahead and make a Thieves' Tool check for me.
Okay, is that, what would that be like?
Dexterity based. If you're, if you're trained in these, or if you're proficient with Thieves' Tools, which I believe you should be, it's Dex mod plus your proficiency.
Dex mod plus proficiency, so that is a 19 plus 3, so that is 22.
Okay. This is a really poorly made lock. You have no problem. Like you literally you get one as you get the rake out and the tension wrench. You realize you don't even need your tension wrench for this. You literally just put the rake in and kind of jimmy it almost like a bump key, and it opens. Like one of the easiest things you've ever done.
Okay, as I do that, I'm just like, huh. And then I just pull him out, and I gently open the door. Like very quietly still. Mm-hmm. Anyone in there?
No, there's nothing in there.
Okay. I'm gonna start looking for any kind of chest or compartment where they collect all these fees.
It is a big empty room. There is no furniture. There are no filing cabinets. There is nothing.
Owie and Smegwick hear just a streak of expletives just kind of echo out of the office from the outside.
I will have you make a perception check for me.
Okay. I take back my previous statement. Perception, it fails.
Well, Smegwick is going to walk in too, just because like he's just going to take the area in.
Okay. You can make a perception check as well. As you see Reggie just saying, you suddenly start to realize that Reggie may know more languages than you originally thought, because a few of the words he's saying you don't recognize, but you're relatively certain they have 4 letters.
Because I was expecting to come in for a big empty room, and so yeah, I got a 15 total.
So, between you and Aoi, you notice again that the room is gone, but it's not clean. You notice that there's a decent amount of like dust around here, which is weird because like decent as in there are piles of dust in places, which seems very, very bizarre to you, because you were in here before and there wasn't this much dust, and moving all of that furniture out, there really shouldn't be dust here.
This is weird.
Should I roll Arcana or Insight regarding that? Because we were in a room that was like, it was sterile.
If you want to roll Arcana, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay. Well, there's a delay on my side. Okay, 18 total.
18. Looking around, you start to realize furniture was never taken out of this office. Furniture was disintegrated.
Oh.
They literally went scorched earth.
They either took the gold with them or just destroyed it.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to grab gold. They just decided to opt out anything else. Ledges. I mean, because the guy was a dock master here, and is like, ledges, paperwork, any kind of paraphernalia.
When you guys were in here before, it looked like a regular dockmaster's office, which would have cabinets full of documents and ledgers for coinage, and this was a fully furnished office, and it was not the cleanest office in the world, but it was well kept, and now it is dust.
I need to step outside for a moment. And Reggie just walks outside just to process this.
Uh-oh.
You hear one more expletive just echo across the veil.
Oh, boy.
Smegwick, you would be aware the disintegrate spell is not...
low level.
Yeah, it is a relatively advanced spell, and the amount of times it would have been cast in here indicates multiple high-level spellcasters did this.
Yeah.
And Aoi, you would definitely be aware of that from your schooling.
Aye.
Somebody went overkill.
Aye.
Oh well. It's like we're screwed. It's like go to the ship. And by the way, can I ask Reggie, do I know what language you said your expletives in?
Let me...
That was me just adding color. I would assume from Reggie's background.
That's what I was asking him. Yeah.
You probably from the high society people that you dealt with, you probably picked up a couple words in other languages.
It was like a very hoity-toity dialect of Elvish that he was speaking in.
I don't know if you know this, so in Sylvan, I tell you language, and then I walk to the ship.
Thank God Aoi doesn't know it.
However, Reggie doesn't get that because I don't know Sylvan. Reggie
he only knows the fun words.
Reggie's just like that.
Aoi does manage to utter a quick draconic expletive before we leave.
You hear interconic, he says, interconic, I said language. Sarcastically.
Sorry.
Gosh darn it, guys! Watch the language.
I think the joke would have been Smegwick actually would have said, "Hey, watch your effing language," and like he just would have said that, and then kept walking to the ship.
I'm
How
not
he
living that one
blushes.
down, am I?
Sorry.
So, yeah, the room itself is empty aside from piles of dust. What else do you guys wanted to do?
I'm done. I'm going back to the ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm too sad.
Reggie's all hangdog.
You hear an especially sad violin playing down in the cargo hold.
Are you overly dramatic actually saying sigh?
Sigh.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't say sigh, but his actual legit sighing is a little bit louder than necessary.
Friggin'
World's
bud.
tiniest violin for the bard.
Friggin' bud.
So, any other stuff you guys want to do before you head out?
Well, I know we're all docked. I know we're all stocked up with what little the Teamsters were able to give for us, and everything else is taken care of on those fronts. Don't really think there's anything else for us to do. I didn't really think we should go looting.
Yeah, definitely
places.
not.
Not that we couldn't have, but
I was about to say, there's plenty there. And theoretically, everyone that's still there, you wouldn't be stealing from any of them.
yeah, provided they also didn't disintegrate everything there too.
Well, if you guys want to do a little more investigation, you're welcome to do that as well.
Do you want to stop by some key spots? Smegwick will check out whatever passes for a magical enchantment thing that was probably manned by them.
Okay, fine. Let's scrounge up what we can.
I'm fine. I was like,
Go ahead and everyone make me investigation checks.
Okay.
Oh, crap. 12.
13.
14.
So 12, 13, and 14, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as you guys kind of go around, you go to the various spots. Anything material seems to be left where it was. Like you find food stores that are just there. You find boxes full of like bedding and the things like that was just left behind. But any documents, any files, anything, maps, whatever, they not only are they not there, but the rooms that they were in has been dusted. The room where you guys met with the leader is in the same state as the office, where it's nothing but little piles of dust.
Well, I was thinking like shops and stuff that might have also been occupied them. Like I don't know, like an enchantment shop or the magic.
Yeah.
shop.
Again, there's nothing really of value that they left behind. If you guys really go for a long time, like you're willing to spend like 4 or 5 hours, you can probably find another week's worth of rations between the different shops. But you find there are no weapons in the forge. Everything there are like ship pieces. Hull plating, gears and things like that for various parts of ships and things like that. Like it, literally, they took over this entire place to supply their naval force, and so the only stuff that's left here is stuff that really isn't all that valuable. At least not to you guys.
Yeah. Yep, it took everything of importance was to them and disintegrated the rest. Well, it was worth a crack.
Well, let us wash our hands of this place and never look back.
So,
Smegwick looks to you two, and then Goblin says an expletive. Yeah, we're all in the same club now. Let's go.
So, getting back to the ship, you guys are all able to load up and are able to leave no trouble whatsoever. The gates themselves, because the dock itself is covered and they actually have gates that they can close, they have been locked open. So You have no problem getting out.
Mhm.
You just need to pick a direction to sail. I'll say time-wise, going to Abia would take you about the better part of a week. Vox's Landing would be closer to a week and a half to 2 weeks. Going to Zuros would be closer to 3-ish weeks, maybe 3.5. And if you wanted to go as far as like Exlos or Imperius, that would be better part of a month.
Well, beggars can't be choosers. I'm not above stopping by a beer on the way over there.
Oh, we might as well. Who knows? We might get
Mhm.
lucky. I think we're due it.
All right. So you all
Punch it, Reggie.
I'm sorry?
Punch it, Reggie.
I do the thing and I get my hands on the helm like always.
so you guys head out. Sorry, I'm looking at some info here to make sure I don't say the wrong to the thing.
Mm.
So you guys head out, and for the most part, the veil is remarkably smooth for you guys. You have very little problem adjusting to currents and things like that. Like it's one of the smoother trips that you guys have had in a long time. However, as you go to sleep every night, all of you have a hard time getting to sleep and staying asleep. For the most part, it's mostly remembered as restlessness. You wake up and you wake up a few times in the middle of the night. But Smegwick, for you, you keep having these flashbacks where, unlike the other flashbacks you've been experiencing most recently, these are you just being alone.
Alone in a room, alone in just emptiness.
Alone in your room that you occupied for a significant amount of time. And the weird thing about it is when you go to sleep, you are reliving probably one of the most boring times of your life. Nothing happens, but you feel every agonizing minute. And every few hours, you'll hear someone at the door, or you'll hear the covering from the window start to move, and then you'll wake up. And you will remember every second of the dream. And then when you go back, you are again taken back to the same place. And the more it happens, the stranger it feels, because from your memories of what you are effectively reliving, there wasn't this much downtime to focus on. Like, there was always something happening. You got meals every day. You were let out to get exercise and things like this. But this, you are literally, every minute you are asleep, you are effectively living in this cell. And it seems incredibly familiar, but you don't remember ever, like, you have a 4-hour long period where you don't wake up, and you don't remember ever having literally nothing happen for 4 hours. There was always something. Somebody knocked on the door. There were checks to make sure, you'd hear a scream or something. Nothing. You are just completely encased in this room by yourself every time you fall asleep. After the first night of this, none of you are upset or anything about it, but once you get into the fourth or fifth night, all of you are starting to feel just the lack of quality sleep. And Smegwick, you, again, every moment your eyes are shut, you are taken back to this cell. Every single one of them. So on the morning of the fourth day, as you all wake up, Reggie is probably the earliest one to rise, simply because he has to go check to make sure the autopilot rope hasn't screwed up the
Well, I would imagine
path.
I would imagine we're probably also periodically in shifts because people with magical capability can pilot.
Yeah,
correct?
anyone that has the ability to cast a spell can theoretically pilot. It's just whether or not you're good at it. And this is a relatively simple path that you guys have decided to take. Like you're not taking any chances. You effectively have, I think, before you found the extra week's worth, I think you had 2 weeks worth of rations. So you effectively have 3 weeks worth of rations, which is enough to go from Ebbia and back to the Skywell twice. So, so on the 4th day, as you guys are kind of rotating through your shifts, what would you all like to do?
I think Smegwick during one part he's like being very irritable, contemplating about a lot of things. Does check in with the crew and like, so everyone else is having a crap time sleeping too, right?
Yeah.
I think he picks. I
yeah.
think he picks that vibe up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a result of us being on that island or whatever. Something got knocked loose there.
I,
I'm having all kinds of dreams.
I broke a string trying to play last night. That doesn't happen.
Well, something else. I was kind of skirting it, but we're kind of on a trajectory here.
As you say that, you suddenly hear this.
Oh, what fresh hell is this?
You guys can
Reggie
see.
Reggie was kind of nodding off at the helm when that happened, so he was like,
You guys can see at the very edge of your sight lines, you can see a ship heading towards you. It's got a flag indicating trade flying on its mast. And from what you can see, it's pretty far out. It's probably still at least an hour away. But from what you can see from where you are, it seems to be kind of a small little market almost. Like you can see a bunch of different stalls that are all made up around the deck. You can see things go lower. It looks to be kind of a little traveling mall almost.
ooh.
And they've signaled to kind of indicate that they'd like to dock with you.
Have we ever seen this kind of a ship before?
It's not uncommon.
Also-
Something
Okay.
like this with this many different things on it. This is a little bit more rare. Probably none of you guys have ever seen something specifically like this. But trading ships, extremely common.
what size is their ship in relation to ours? Are we able to tell?
It's bigger than yours, guys.
Galleon? Galleon?
Not quite galleon size, but probably like you guys have 3 floors on your ship, and it's a decent size, like cutter almost. This has 4 floors and probably is about twice as wide as you guys are. And as you can see from how it's sitting in, as far as how far down it's going into the Vale, it seems to be carrying a decent amount of cargo in it. Is definitely heavier loaded than you guys are.
Well then, which one of you fine friends is up for a slight change of scenery? Maybe stretch our legs a bit.
Worth checking out. I've never seen one like this before.
Our words are tell.
I wonder if they came out with a new model or something. That's definitely odd.
Well, also, I mean, we're not really there's not really like a lot we can work with. Maybe we can see what's going on around town, so to speak.
Hey, maybe we get some news. Hey, maybe we might be able to find a job here. Yeah, we'll
Good
see what
point.
happens.
We'll
Okay,
get notated for that.
I turn the helm and I start heading towards the ship.
Okay.
Do we have like a flag that we can raise to basically respond to say like, hey,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be a relatively common flying. You'll generally have colors of whatever you're flying under, and then directly underneath that you'll have like communication style flags that you can raise. So yeah, kind of indicating that you're open to trade. Again, it takes about an hour to get there. You see a bunch of people kind of throw ropes onto your ship, really big, thick ropes, so they can kind of lash your ships together. And you see a really big gangplank come down, and you see this kind of lithe person come down. He's wearing very brightly colored robes that kind of jingle as he walks. You can see he's wearing significant amounts of jewelry. And he comes, hello. Wonderful to see new customers.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what race is this guy?
Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check.
Okay.
I'll take a crack at that too.
Same.
With the way you're playing it, I want to guess you on T.
Really?
15.
15, okay.
23.
23, okay.
9.
9, okay. Aoi, you have never seen someone like this. Reggie, you as well are kind of perplexed. Smegwick, you can tell that they are attempting to look human. They're not succeeding 100%, but that is what their attempt is. As far as what they actually are, you haven't the slightest idea. You've never seen a creature like this in your life. With your thought of Yuan Ti, you can see some things that definitely seem serpentine about their movement, but they have no scale patterns. You can see their legs, and their arms and their hands and everything. Yuan Ti generally are going to have something reptilian and
Well, that was my meta level. I was just guessing as a
That
player.
would be with a 23. That would be something that would go through your head.
I don't know. Honestly, you describing someone trying to be human yet attempting to be human. All I'm seeing is frickin' max headroom in like a sultan uniform with all the jingling.
Yes.
So I was going to Simpsons, like, hello, fellow humans.
So as he that's Community, not Simpsons.
Oh, the guys when they were holding hands.
Oh, okay. I always think of hello, fellow young people. So as he comes down, and to whom am I speaking?
The crew of the Al Mirage's escapade.
Wonderful. I am Simeon, and this is my family. Would you care to meet all of them?
I am having PTSD flashbacks to the island with how he's saying family. We would certainly love to see what it is that you have to offer. I just have one quick question, and I do apologize how obscure this might seem. Do you happen to call breakfast morning meal?
And he kind of looks strange.
Or do you call it breakfast?
Some may do that. I will admit there are some members of the family that are more recent additions. But we try to have something for everyone. What specifically are you looking for? We have goods, we have services, we have experiences.
I'm just going to throw this out there, and this is like, might be interested in something if you have in the type of herbal varieties you may be carrying.
Of course. As far as herbs, are you looking for herbs that heal the sick, herbs that improve your food, or herbs that you inhale after igniting? We have all, but they are located in different places, so I would want to direct you to the right spot.
We were personally hoping you had any herbs that might help with ensuring a good night's rest.
Ah.
Not
No,
without knocking us out completely.
No, nothing of the sort. We have an alchemist.
We're not
The
looking to kiss the sky, just FYI.
greatest alchemist in the entire sovereignty. He has traveled the 4 elemental planes and all over the Feywild, collecting bits and bobs, mostly knowledge. And he can cure whatever ails you. Trust me on this. And he will give it to you for a fair price. If you have any dealings that you feel are not above board here, come to me personally. I will not have anyone mistreating our customers. Repeat customers are much more valuable than any single sale.
I did want to ask Jody, since this ship, as we were approaching, they were tying off, did the ship have a name on the side? Or anywhere?
Yes, emblazoned on the side is the Carnival.
Have I ever heard of the Carnival?
Make me a history check.
Also, now I suddenly remember what this guy reminds me of. He reminds me of freaking Floyd the Barber from the Andy Griffith Show.
10.
You're aware of carnivals. As far as a ship named the Carnival, it doesn't ring any bells. It's a strange name for a ship. You're aware of that.
He's freaking strange too.
So, would you like me to take you to his shop? His name is Albaran.
Smegwick just kind of like looks to Spitwit and Smegwick are both like just.
Well, then follow me, and don't be afraid to wander. You may find things you had no idea you needed here. And he makes this huge kind of turn, and his robes go with him, and they kind of jingle and jangle. There's obviously metallic things inside the robes somewhere, but there's so many layers of it, you could not tell what they are. And he starts kind of slinking his way up the gangplank again.
Without saying anything, I mimic his swooshing as I follow right after him.
As you guys come up onto the main deck, this feels like an open air market. Like you can see various stalls all around the deck. People are starting to kind of call out to you to try and sell you things. You can see... Do I have... Oh, we can do that. That'll work perfectly.
Hey, it's a bizarre bazaar.
You can also see them kind of interacting with each other as well. But as soon as you walk on board, they seem very, very excited to see you. And
Did they seem the same as Simeon?
No, they're literally every race you could imagine you see here. There's some Aarakocra, there's some Genasi. There actually you see as you were taken through, you were eventually taken into the back, and you start going below deck, and you walk through even more. You see one shop that's run by some Warforged. There are some Goliaths here. You even see some Dark Elves which is not something that you guys have seen. Most of you have probably never seen a dark elf, because they are 2 levels of planes away from this area. So yeah, like just the sheer number of different races and peoples here is pretty astounding.
Wow.
Yes, we are a rather mismatched family, but we all get along.
I approve.
And eventually you guys are taken into, on the 3rd level, you guys are taken into a shop that is just tons and tons of vials. Some of them containing liquids, some of them containing plants, some of them containing dusts of various things, some of them containing pieces of things that you're not quite sure you want to know what they are. But as you come in, you see, probably, for all of you, the largest rabbit you have ever seen.
Funny.
His ears actually have to be worn down because he is tall enough that his head nearly scrapes the ceiling. His fur is a mixture of kind of chocolate brown and cream white. And as he turns in, you see him kind of turn. He has this kind of stern look, and then his face is split with a smile. Hello there. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Alberond, I presume?
That is me. Lovely to see you.
I gotta hand it to them. I am loving the presentation.
Yes, I can take it from here. Wonderful. If you need anything else, simply call for me. I shall appear. And he kind of slithers his way out.
I kind of lean out just to catch like a sight of like where he's going out of curiosity.
He kind of weaves his way back up the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of weird. But the ship's nice. Get good business here. I get to travel all around.
It's a funny thing. I've never actually heard of this ship personally.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. I was unaware of it until I was asked to join.
People ever leave?
Fairly often.
Okay.
If you were to run into us again in, say, 3 weeks to a month, half the shops would be different on here. I'm actually one of the longest living members here, and I've been with them for 2 years. Turnover is rather high.
Well, we were interested in maybe the possibility of acquiring a slight bit of herbal remedy for catching some Z's at night, long trips and all that.
Interesting. And he comes over, and you watch him kind of rub his hands a little bit. And he comes over and, may I? And he places his hand near your face.
It depends.
Just to get a feel for what might be troubling you.
So maybe we're kind of like,
It's perfectly harmless. My abilities stem from touch. If you would prefer I don't, we can simply talk about it. It's simply faster this way. Whatever you are most comfortable with.
Sure, go right ahead. I'll volunteer.
All right, and he
Immediate mental thing sent a spit wit chainmail to them, just going like, keep an eye out.
You see you rub his hands again, and as he places them on your head, you feel warmth kind of transfer from him into you.
Does the tingling mean it's working?
Perhaps.
Arcanically, do I get a sense of what he's doing?
This isn't arcane in nature. You're not exactly sure what it is, but it is most definitely not arcane. Wow. Well. Oh. What is your name, sir?
Smegwick.
Smegwick, would you like to have a conversation with me? Perhaps without your friends nearby? Just to talk about what ails you.
Having a rough time sleeping. No secret there.
I'm very aware of that. However, it seems to me that perhaps what is causing you a lack of sleep may be something personal that maybe you don't want to share with the rest of your friends. It's a perfectly normal thing. They can wait outside, maybe look at some of the other shops. I just thought you might want to have a conversation without them around.
Due to the nature of what we've gone through recently, multiple times, the station and an island, I want to roll insight on this dude.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Freaking every time. 11.
11, okay.
Yeah, so.
So, from what you can tell, you're not sensing any sort of ulterior motive. Aoi, did you roll?
Yes, I did. 18.
18. Everything you can tell from this person, this is your first time dealing with a humanoid rabbit, so it's a little difficult to read, but he seems very genuine. Like, everything he said, you don't sense any double talk. You don't see him, other than the brief conversation that he's had with Smegwick, where it's obvious he's chosen certain words very specifically to try and impart some meaning to Smegwick that you guys might not get. Other than that, he seems to be very upfront.
Smegwick
Seems sincere.
pauses for a second, and he's thinking back to the conversation he was about to kick off on the ship before the horn blasted off. And he was about to, like, risk the loan. He went, they can stay if they want.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
This may be a conversation for later.
All right.
And Smegwick is not happy. It's like he's like it was always going to be on my terms.
Well, it seems to me that you've recently been troubled by certain memories resurfacing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Memories of a time that you're less than pleased about.
Yeah.
Well, as I was examining you, I discovered that perhaps you're not aware of exactly all of the memories of that time. There seems to be someone has done something to your memory.
That's what I've been inferring and feeling inclined towards as well, and I don't like it.
Well, if you would like some help maybe removing some of the blocks that have been put there, I can help with that, but it will involve you discussing in more detail what it was. I personally don't know what it is you've been through. I simply can see the blocks and am familiar with their use.
Well, full cards on the table here, friend. This is a passing fancy of interest when we came here. What are you needing in regards of remuneration?
Well, normally for something as basic as a sleeping draught, or something even more mild, perhaps a tea that promotes relaxation and helps with sleep, that would be a few silver pieces. However, to remove memory blocks and the like, that is a significantly more expensive process. For me, simply to diagnose you would be a gold piece, and then once I find out what it is that has been done, we can discuss what treatment options would be.
Smegwick pops in and he pops a gold. I'm willing to cough up a gold. I need answers.
I will repeat. Part of this process is you telling me everything about this period of time you wish to not know about. If you would prefer your friends not know all the details, there is an entire ship of wonders here. Shouldn't take more than maybe half an hour to an hour, depending on what's going on.
They don't have to stay if they don't want. I'll leave that up to them. It's just that we've had some rather intrusive manipulations applied to us on a couple of occasions.
I understand completely.
There is a stipulation. I have... there's one individual upon all which I am not inclined to talk about. And I'm afraid that is non-negotiable. Not to be difficult. But I don't believe that this will be a problem for said blocks.
If this person,
at least I do not anticipate,
is part of these memories, then you will need to discuss them for me to figure out exactly what is needed. However, if they have nothing to do with these memories, then there's no reason to bring them up.
They shouldn't, I don't think.
Well, it is entirely up to you. If you prefer, this process could be done on your own ship, if the familiarity would be better for you. For me to concoct a solution, I will have to return to my shop, but...
Well, we're here anyway.
Well,
I looked at Owie, I looked at Reggie.
I gently hold his hand.
You got this, buddy. And I give a little, pat on the shoulder.
Well then, and you watch as he jumps to another side of the room.
Ah!
Remarkably lightly. And you see him press on the wall a little bit, and you watch as the wall shifts and a bed pops out. If you would be so kind.
Smegwick takes Spitwit and just tosses him up in the air, and Spitwit will land on Owie's shoulder. And stay over there, buddy. Gonna lie down and tell you about my family problems?
Well, I'm hoping we don't need to go back that far. Let's start.
A lollipop afterwards?
And you see him go around and he lights some lanterns. And as he does, you can see smoke kind of coming off of them. Any of you would have seen incense burners before. And so he lights some incense. This is off, and
I leave a mental command to Spitwit. I start running at the mouth. Just bite my finger.
Spitwick seems pleased with the idea. As you lie down and you feel the incense, you notice the incense itself is remarkably pleasant. Has kind of a cinnamon scent to it, other kind of very light scents. And as you inhale more deeply, you can feel your muscles start to relax a little bit. You feel kind of the weight of your thoughts and anxieties start to lessen a bit. The room itself seems to feel a little bit darker, but not in a dangerous way, more like a comfortable, almost as if the room is hugging you. You feel the linens beneath you, and they seem to kind of fall away, and you almost feel as if you're floating. And then you hear his voice. So, we're going to go back a month, 2, 4, 6, a year, to a time you wish didn't happen.
I had to go back farther than that.
To be living in. Constantly, whenever you close your eyes, you're back.
Keeps taking me back there.
As you close your eyes this time, as you go back, you can see you can exist in this world, but you will hear my voice. You will know that is simply your mind there. Your body is still here, safe and warm. Your friends are around you. In your mind, in this place where you keep being taken back to, open your eyes. Describe the room you're in.
It's a friggin' cell. My
Where-
cell.
Where is this cell located?
There's a long pause, and even Spitwit's kind of like checking, like, oh shit. The lens tower.
And why are you there?
Because my answers didn't fit someone else's narrative.
How long have you been there?
In total,
Right now, in the place where you are, in your mind, how long have you been there? Is this near the beginning of your stay? Is it near the end? How long has it been?
actually, I will need to ask that question, Jody.
How long do you think it's been? This literally whatever you say is going to be true.
Oh, okay.
We're going to create this memory
Okay.
together.
Let's say about. Oh, I don't remember this bit of monotony, but it feels like 4 months in.
And how much longer will you be there?
Well, if it's an even 4, 8 months and a day. Someone had a sense of humor.
So, you have a fair amount of time to wait while you're there. Now we're going to talk specifically about what's happening. You're in your cell.
Same thing every time. Nothing.
Nothing. Is that normal for you?
No. Someone usually comes by at least. Spend some time outside, spend some time inside. Friggin' God tests me. Someone comes by and asks if I remember anything differently. But no, I always. This.
Do they
I was bored out of my skull plenty of times, but it was never like this every single friggin' time.
They ask about your memory often.
They ask me if I want to change my story, if anything else new comes to mind.
Interesting.
But they never asked me. But this time, no one ever comes by.
So in total, you're there for about a year.
A year and a day.
Year and a day. Unfortunately, that's not true.
Huh?
You remember a year and a day. The blocks are spaced within. There seems to be much more time there. You mention there's always something going on. They feed you, they move you, but in your memory now, there is nothing, just waiting and emptiness, correct? Correct.
I'm sorry. I was actually
That's fine,
ready to
that's
note it down.
Just waiting and emptiness, correct?
Waiting in my cell.
What are you waiting for?
Someone to bug me. Although now I'm wondering if it's gonna be a guy coming by wearing goggles. I remember him recently.
This gentleman wearing goggles, why would he come and visit you?
At first I thought he was questioning me, but he wasn't part of those questions. He wasn't part of those interrogations.
So why would he want to visit you? And as you hear that question, you suddenly, while as you're sitting there, you see the door open. But there's nobody there. In fact, you can't see outside of the cell. You just see this kind of bright little light.
Like a white light when the door opens. Door's open.
Why is the door open?
Usually there's a guard there telling me to, ordering me about, or telling me to step back when the food gets placed.
But there's no one there now. It's just an
No.
open door.
I think Smeg was just actually staring at the light.
Why, if the door is open, why are you still in your cell?
Just normally you don't do nothing until a guard tells you you can.
Right? Are there any guards there telling you to do anything?
No. And Smegwick starts edging closer. Because the aforementioned time, someone should have said something by now.
As you move closer, the light doesn't become any less bright. There's no less definition to it. It seems the doorway itself is made of light. Why don't you walk through the door, Smegwick?
Smegwick kind of stands up straight, smooths his onesie with a jumper, whatever color it might be in this.
As you start adjusting it, you notice you're not wearing the jumper that you should be. You look down, your clothing is armor. You are wearing leather armor. It's fitted for battle.
Is it my old uniform?
No, it's not. You've never worn this armor before in your life, but you are now. And it's tailored to you specifically. Fits like a good glove.
Oh. Smegwick says in Sylvan, curiouser and curiouser, and he walks into the door of light.
Okay. Roll a new character. No. As you go in, you walk out.
I got a grung swashbuckler rating. Don't test me.
Ribbit. You're the one getting therapy from a rabbit. As you walk out, you are not in the lens tower anymore. Looking around, you feel like you're in a ship. You can feel the ground moving underneath you, as if you're on some sort of ship. But whatever kind of ship it has got to be the largest ship you've ever been in, because you look down and you see nothing but hallways, and you look down the other side, nothing but hallways. There are doors going both directions, but other than that, there's no one here.
Well, now I'm on a friggin' ship in custom-fitted armor.
Where do you want
big-ass
to
ship,
go, Smegwick?
always indoors.
Where do you want to go, Smegwick?
Do I feel like I'm below deck?
Yes.
Okay. I want to go up. I want to see where we're at.
All right. How would you get above deck?
There's got to be stairs somewhere.
Why don't you go look for them?
Oh, fine, I will.
As you travel around, you keep finding more and more doors, but you're not finding stairs.
Where the frig are the stairs? Should be stairs. Every ship's got stairs.
As you continue looking, you eventually come to an open door. As you look in, you see your cell.
Like a mirror or like another me?
No, as in you seem to have somehow come back to where you started.
Oh, okay. Okay. No stairs, and I seem to have started over. What's a loop tell you, Doc?
What does it tell you?
They just wasted a friggin' gold?
Possibly. As you look to your left, you are suddenly surprised. Standing next to you, shorter than you, is a small, blue dragonborn. To your knowledge, you and Owie have never been in this place, but she's standing right next to you.
Oh, it is Owie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the kid's here.
Really? Had you met Owie before?
Nope.
Interesting.
Spitwit is looking at Owie. Kind of like, what the hell?
Owie, you're still in the room. You can see him lying there and speaking, and he just mentioned that you're apparently in his memory. But you're right where you've been. You're also muted.
Does Owie look different here than in...
She looks exactly as you remember her being in the room that you were just in. But then as you look at her again, she's wearing the same armor you're currently wearing.
Now she's wearing the same custom-fitted armor that I'm wearing.
Interesting. Owie?
Yeah?
Would you be willing to come here for a moment?
Okay.
I think your friend could use some help. He's reaching out for some. Would you mind joining him?
Okay.
You watch him kind of rub his paws together, and he brings a chair over and has you sit down.
Spitwit jumps off of Owie's shoulder, is now on Reggie's shoulder.
He taps you on the forehead, and you suddenly feel very kind of relaxed.
And, hey, we talked about this.
You feel your muscles start to relax themselves. You feel kind of the room itself get comfortably warmer, like you're kind of snuggling up in a blanket. And suddenly you open your eyes and you see Smegwick in very nice looking armor.
Hi.
And then you see yourself in
Hey, kid.
armor, and Owie, you recognize this armor.
What?
While studying in school, one of the things, especially with you being a Eldritch Knight, one of the things you would have been told about is the special forces, different special forces for Imperius and the sovereignty. And there is one group of special forces, effectively clandestine operations. The jobs that they take are never written down. There are no official orders for what they do. They are the best of the best of the best. They are sent in to places where things need to be done quickly and correctly. That is the uniform you're currently wearing.
I tell him this.
Special. Have I ever heard of the Special Forces at all?
You're aware of quite a few differences of special forces. This particular branch, you were not told about. With you being a scout, you effectively were a quote-unquote special forces. The scouts themselves, the scout regiment, are a form of special forces, but they're generally pretty low tier. Your specialty is you go out.
We were fresh from recruiting, and we went into the our first mission.
This particular special force is not one you have heard of. But again, you were not kind of briefed on every single thing, every single job, and this is not a job that would have fit your particular talents anyway. Which makes it even weirder that you're wearing their armor.
I went from scout to this.
Officially, they have no name as well. Owie, and you, it would have been something that you heard of from upperclassmen.
Yeah.
More than something that you had been taught in school, if that makes sense. All right. So now you and your friend are there. Perhaps she can help you find the stairs.
And yeah, where are the stairs?
I ain't seen none so far.
So, Owie, what would you like to do? Again, you're in a hallway with a bunch of doors. Ceiling's about 10 feet high.
Where would I think the stairs would be, like, on a ship?
Generally, on most ships, you're going to have stairs on the bow and the stern.
Yep.
And on larger ships, they will have ladders in certain places so you can get between floors.
Okay.
So generally, if you're on a ship and you can keep just going a single direction, you generally will find the stairs eventually, because you will eventually get to one end of the ship. Now, Smegwick has already tried that and failed. So, with that knowledge, what would you like to do?
Gonna have to try and see if we go back to where we started, I guess.
Okay. So, you basically retrace the steps that he took, and you come right back to the cell that you were at when you opened your eyes in this place. It's the only door, or it's the only opening that you've seen thus far. There's no door to his cell. It is just a doorway.
I don't really have any spells that could, like, that could make sense of this.
There are also tons of doors if you want to start.
Yeah, okay. I'll start checking them one at a time, I guess.
So as you open the first door, what do you think is going to be behind the first door?
The stairs?
Okay. So you open the first door and there's a set of stairs there.
Come on!
Friggin' seriously? Alright.
As you go and you start walking up the stairs, there's a lot of stairs.
Oh, God.
You guys keep going and going, and you're getting to the point where you're like, okay, this is either the tallest ship you have ever seen, or this isn't a ship, because you're now going 50, 60, 70, 80 feet up these stairs.
Like a labyrinth.
And they haven't turned, they haven't, they're not circular or anything like that, so you're going in a straight line up. And after what seems like an eternity, you eventually come to another door.
I open it.
As you open it up, a huge flash of lightning happens. As you look out, you can see not the largest ship you ever seen, but definitely galleon-sized ship deck that you step out on. And it is surrounded. You look up and you can see these dense, dark, purple clouds above with little bits of lightning jumping between them. And you've seen this before when you were beneath the veil. That's what the bottom of the veil looks like.
Oh. Deja vu.
Yeah. I don't remember any of this, and all of a sudden this is all happening here.
Weird.
Hey, that's a mismatch of the memories we've already had getting smashed together, or what?
It's possible. Manipulating someone's memory is a dangerous thing to do. I generally tend to recommend only the very skilled try it. This may be unpleasant for a moment.
Because this was a friggin' teapot already. Okay.
You feel
Yeah,
pressure on your forehead, and then a wave of pain kind of passes over your body very quickly. And as you look around, you're in the lens tower. Aoi, you're there as well.
Are we still in our armor?
Yep. As you kind of look around, you've been in this hallway before. This is the hallway that leads to the interrogation room. And the interrogation room is literally just a room with a table and a pair of chairs. And almost every day for a solid month, they would take you from your cell to the room. They'd ask you the same questions over and over again. You would give them the same answers. Then they'd walk you back. And eventually they gave up asking you questions.
And I want to make it a point. Am I remembering the interrogation, or are we reenacting the interrogation? Or is it
At
like,
this particular point, all you are remembering is you are in the hallway, and you know, if I go this way, I will go to the interrogation room. If I go this way, I will go to my cell.
Okay, I was wondering if we were actually seeing me being interrogated by people, or if
right now,
it was
no.
just like...
Right now, there's no one else in here except for you. You hear the voice again. Where are you now?
The interrogation room. Came here every friggin' day until they gave up.
Currently, you're in a hallway.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, the hallway. I'm looking at the doorway to the interrogation. Doorway to the interrogation.
Do you want to go into the interrogation room?
No, but it's better than out here. And he just walks towards the door.
Okay.
I want my friggin' answers.
As you go in, you see a short old gentleman sitting on a chair in there. As you look at them, they seem strange, almost fluid. They seem to be kind of sitting in their chair and kind of floating a little bit. You have a hard time kind of picking out specific features, like their face seems to be kind of muddled and melted to a point. But they slowly seem to converge. The liquid itself is a very light cream color, and it gets darker and darker, and it takes more and more form, and Reggie is sitting there.
Oh.
wearing the uniform of the person that used to interrogate you.
Okay, what the fresh hell is this?
You're going to have to be a little more specific than that.
Reggie's wearing the same friggin' armor. He's sitting in the spot of the interrogator.
Interesting. Oh, Reggie,
Yes.
seems your friend could use some help.
All right. Well, this should be interesting. Spitwit's been on my shoulder this entire time, right?
Yep. Well,
Okay.
since it moved from Howie's shoulder.
Spitwood rolls his eyes and he flies off. He's gonna sit at the head of the bed. And he's watching the guy now.
If you would be so kind, he pulls out another chair.
Don't worry, little guy. Hopefully we won't be too long. And I said, back to you.
Taps you on the forehead. Again, you feel
You'll lose this fight.
drowsy, warm. You open your eyes and you're wearing a strange uniform that you've never worn before. It seems like a dress uniform. This is not a battle uniform in any way, shape, or form. This is obviously.
Oh, what the hell?
And
I take a moment to not only look at my uniform, but I'm also kind of like looking at my hands. I'm kind of doing this, like, is this a thing?
You see Owie and Smegwick there wearing very smart-looking armor.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
What the?
I don't recognize this ship. I don't recognize this armor. Now I'm in this map, but I do recognize this interrogation room.
This is it. And then that's when Reggie finally actually just kind of looks at the room he's actually in and goes like, "Oh shit, this does look like an interrogation room. Wait, what are we doing in an interrogation room? What happened? What'd you two do?"
Did you not hear me? Did you not hear me out there?
Was
You
I
heard me
hearing
out there, right?
Yeah, everything he said you heard.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still kind of like processing it.
Yeah,
Like-
Spegwit looked at his finger for a second. It's like he didn't get bit. Okay.
Huh. Well, this is certainly odd. I like get up from the chair and I like rejoin the other two.
So, Smegwick, you've been in this room hundreds of times.
Yeah, until ironically they thought I was being stubborn. I told them the truth. They just didn't like it what they were hearing.
Suddenly, the door to the room opens, but nobody's there.
Ah.
It's been happening a lot.
Yeah, but still to see it.
What would you like to do?
Is this door lit as well?
No,
The same
this
white
one you can
light?
see out into the hallway.
It's a hallway again. Different side of the interrogation room?
It's the hallway you would expect to be outside the interrogation room. Again, at this point, you're no longer on a ship. You are in the lens tower.
Yeah.
So, it's a hallway in the lens tower. It looks like it should.
Okay. I go outside of this. Go outside here.
Okay. As you go out, you can see, to your right is an area that you never went. This was the furthest you ever went in this hallway. You would always take a left, go back to your cell. Take a right, come back here. Take a left, go back to your cell. It's always how it was. To the right, however, you see another door at the very end of this hallway open.
Okay. Was usually instructed to go the opposite way. This one, now I'm seeing it. I'm gonna walk towards it.
Okay.
Right.
As you all go, you see a room. It has effectively what looks like an exam table in it. There are restraints on the table.
Oh.
Smegwick, you recognize this room from the vision you had back.
From the recent revelation of the interstitial cut. This is the new memory.
What would you like to do?
I go into the room.
Okay. It's as I described it again. Basically, examination table. There's a little desk on there. You can see
The implements.
no, there's no implements here. There are books, notebooks, and the things like that, and writing instruments.
So maybe goes to them.
Okay. They're
Starts flipping through.
100% blank. There's not an ounce of ink on any page.
Mm.
I'm sure this is a metaphor for something, but I'm kind of friggin' losing. I'm kind of losing the navigation here.
Where are you currently?
Examination room. Nice, lovely steel table. I recently remember being strapped to, and a creepy old guy staring over me.
Currently,
Goggles.
though, you are not strapped to it.
No, I'm standing here with two other people that were not here before.
Perhaps you should lie down.
Smegwick just hops right up on the table and it's like, in for a penny, in for a pound, huh?
Okay. Do you lie down? Do you put the straps on? What are you doing?
I think Smegwick will just kind of lie down in the center.
Okay.
And then he's just gonna take the position that he was in. He's not gonna strap himself in, but he's gonna start remembering being strapped in.
Okay. You feel
He will look eventually.
you start to feel like you're falling for a bit, kind of like if you've ever had one of those waking dreams where you're falling and then you suddenly kind of wake up.
Ugh.
You said in your memory you were strapped down.
Yeah.
Perhaps you should try that.
Yeah. Give me a hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow, Smegwick, I didn't know you were into this type of stuff.
What do you mean?
Yeah, Reggie, what do you mean?
Innocent Howie.
Ask me that when you're a little bit older. I
In
assist with the
Elvish,
strap.
you hear, you're going to have a conversation later.
As you guys strapped on, there's effectively 3 straps. There's one that goes across the chest, one goes across the stomach, one that goes across like just above the knees.
I'm guessing also the wrists.
Yeah, there's 2 loops for the wrists at the bottom.
Okay.
And there's 2 loops for the,
Ankles.
Ankles. So
Okay.
you strap them
Is
down.
Is there anything else in this room besides the strap table that we're tying him to?
Examination table and a desk with blank notebooks on it.
And that's it.
That's it.
Wow.
So as you do that, the door opens again, and a man wearing thick glasses, thick enough that you can't see his eyes, but behind that,
Goggles.
completely seems to ignore both Allie and Reggie. He comes up to you. He's got something in his hand that he kind of waves over you, looks at it, goes,
I know. We need to cut back on the salt.
fascinating. He
You
kinda
keep
leans
saying
down
that. How do I remember that?
and gets really, really close to you. You have done something very naughty, haven't you?
Full on. Sorry for like this, but it's straight on. This is Smeg would actually look at this and be like, he's got absolute hatred, and he's like,
And he kind of moves back before anything gets on him. Yes, he's completely worthless. No, he's been claimed by another. So sad if we could have used you, but Your friends, your friends.
Oh, ain't a shame someone got here first, huh?
They will be very, very useful. You can take him back to his cell. I've seen enough.
He said, now, when he said friends, was he referring to them? To
No
Allie and
idea.
Reggie? You're saying friends.
He just said friends.
What friends?
Take him back to his cell. He is worthless.
My 8th grade teacher said the same thing. I proved her wrong, too.
Dear Owie, maybe we should follow after him.
Yeah.
As you guys walk through the door after him, you walk back into the room.
Oh dear.
I try one more time.
Walk back into the room.
I don't know who that guy was, but I know I hate him.
You keep hearing over and over in your head, worthless, 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 worthless. As you guys look around, you're not in the room anymore. You're not in the examination room. There's a bed. There's a chamber pot. There's a chair and a desk. And there's a door. Smedwick, you've been spending a lot of time here recently. You're in your cell again. You're no longer strapped down.
Apparently, I'm back in my cell.
But Owie and Reggie are with you. And you're all wearing jumpsuits.
Huh? Oh, this is not my color.
Hi.
And this is a single berth room. So there shouldn't be more than one person here. But all three of you are there.
Weird.
The door opens. The man in the goggles comes in. Worthless, worthless, worthless.
He had not.
You had so much potential and you had to go and get entangled in all this. Well, the other ones, they were much more useful.
What other ones?
Others like
What
you?
the hell did you rope me into?
But we can't really have you wandering around talking about this, can we? So look here. All right? Repeat after me. I paid my dues, and now I'm done. You can now re-enter society. You have paid your debts.
Do I actually repeat that?
Do you want to?
I swing at him.
As you do, you connect with something furry. As your fist connects with... go ahead and make me an attack roll real quick. Just a strength-based attack roll.
Okay. I have my unarmed. Do I just roll unarmed? Or?
Yeah, go ahead and roll unarmed.
Okay. Which, by the way, Smegwick wants to knock this guy's block off, but he is not a fighter in this fashion. 18. 18 to hit.
18 is pretty good.
Yeah, the problem is I ain't got no juice behind it unless I'm using a spell.
No, that would do it. So as you sit there, you connect, and you suddenly see your rabbit friend knock back, and he kind of checks his nose. Well, that was pleasant. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to understand where you are. Just relax. Be safe. Your friends are here as well. He goes over and he taps both of you on the head, and you're awake.
Ah, my life is a lie. Wait, what?
I think we're back.
So, You've
Look,
had
he looks down at his like he's back in his clothes.
you've had roughly 6 months of your life blocked.
Now, is this not okay? I guess I'll ask him quick. So, is that added to the time I was there? Or was that part of?
The memories that you have of the time you spent are all real.
Or the additional to the time I spent?
These memories are in addition. Now, I can develop a potion that will remove the barriers preventing you from accessing them. As far as whether or not you'll remember them, well, that's mostly up to your own psyche. But I can remove the blocks themselves. It's a rather strange version of the modify memory spell. It actually acts more like a curse, and by creating a very particular type of anti-curse potion, I can remove its effects. However, like any other memory you may have, whether or not you remember it will be entirely up to you.
How much?
For something this complex, I'd say 50 gold pieces.
I ain't got 50 gold on me. We got the ship funds.
Well,
If
I
the crew
unfortunately
wants to
can't
agree.
do it for any less than that. That's really enough just to cost the cover of materials and
Smegwick knowing about remove curse, and then it's a specific version. Like this is a specialty thing. It's like, I normally I would haggle with you, but yeah, I kind of know the special. I kind of have an idea. If the crew's like, and Smegwick kind of like he's not like he's not being a jerk about it. He's looking at Reggie's armor, and he's just like, he just goes like, if the crew's okay with taking 50 out.
Yeah, I'll take 50 out.
No, not Kid. It's from
Oh,
the crew.
okay.
I ain't looking for a loan.
I see no problem with it, son.
all right. It'll take me about a day to brew it, so feel free to sample the rest of the features on this lovely ship, and I'll see you in about a day.
Khan sir, do you happen to have a bar around here? Somewhere where we might be able to loosen our legs and also our lips a bit?
If it depends on what experience you're looking for. If you simply wish to relax with a good drink, we have that. If you are looking to use alcohol as a way to modify your own memory, we have that as well. And everything in between.
Side note, would that also be the place we would go if someone was looking for possible in need of shipment transport?
Not quite sure what you're asking.
Work opportunities.
Oh, we don't deal in that particular trade. We sell, we don't hire. If you'd like to sign on with the crew, we could see if there's an opening, but you would need to find somewhere to stow your ship.
Smegwick looks at the crew. Maybe I had a side reason for wanting to go to Zeros, and we kind of ran into you, and that kind of worked out in my favor anyway. We have a series of very esoteric books, and this place this place seems rather strange and unusual in and of itself. I don't know if maybe there's a possibility that someone might be interested in said esoteric material.
Very possible. If it's something that needs to be sold and has value, there's probably someone on here that'd be interested, though.
Books mostly, and the Very unique kind. I could definitely say that.
I'm not as familiar with the ship as your previous host was. I can call him and he can tell you exactly where.
Smegwick holds his finger, goes, takes a bet. He's just like, hold that thought. Oh, Simeon.
He's
And I'm
not
counting in my head.
magical, he's just creepy.
Oh, well, I was actually wondering if he was just going to suddenly appear behind my back or something.
No, he's rather busy. I
Oh.
actually have there's a bell here. You see this string? I pull on it and there's a bell. It tells him to come to my shop.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, one way or the other. Yeah, sure.
All right. That really kind of messed you up, didn't it?
Well, he's weird, and I was kind of like expecting him to like suddenly just like apparate there.
Hey, you're not the only one.
So he does.
And we've seen some weird stuff.
Take about a few minutes. If you want to wait outside, I have quite a bit of work to do.
Smegwick holds out his hand and actually and he says he's tried this multiple times to kind of gauge. This guy is so freaking weird. He says in Sylvan, "I appreciate your work and your aid you've given me." He says in Sylvan.
I never picked up the language. My father spoke it quite a bit. I'm more into, and he speaks. What languages do you know?
Well, let's see, Draconic, Elvish, Goblin, Sylvan, and the one other thing we had discussed.
Yeah, you don't recognize what he says, but it sounds beautiful.
Not familiar with that one.
Not many are, but it is what it is. Anyway, trade secrets. So, if you'd be so kind.
Proprietary information. Yeah, I get it.
He kind of pushes you out, and he closed the door. A few minutes later, well, it seems you have found something worth your money. Is there another business I can direct you towards?
Where's the bar?
Bar.
Well, actually, would there be anyone here who might be interested in buying esoteric materials and writings?
Oh yeah, this one's higher priority for us.
Believe me, I want to get smashed too.
Let's see. I had, but no, he's left already. And then there was, but he's gone as well. Ah, I know exactly where. Come with me, come. And he kind of sulks his way through, and he goes, just kind of meandering his way through the hallway, and goes down another set of stairs, and then up another set of stairs, and eventually you come to a shop that as he opens the door, you all kind of cough because you get a face full of dust. Balthazar! Oh, Balthazar? Oh, what do you want? Well, I seem to have some people with some books. Ooh, I like books. Perfect. This is Balthazar, our booksmith. I really like books. So, what do you got for me?
What is Balthazar?
Balthazar's a Goliath.
Ooh.
And you can see he has kind of like runes all over his skin. So, what do you have for me?
We've got about a quarter hold's worth of our ship filled with strange book writings revolving around a never before heard of, lack of a better descriptive deity people worshipped.
Ooh,
It's not much to us, but we were hoping maybe.
Books.
Well,
I
something.
like religious books. They're rather interesting reads. Well, I would have to see them before I could offer you a price. What were you hoping to get for them?
Well, it's a lot of esoteric materials, and they're definitely in the shape of not bad containments. If you want to inspect, I'm open to offers and negotiation. If you'd like to see them first at our ship.
That sounds about right, and I have no appointments for today, so if you would lead the way to your ship, I would certainly like to see these books.
All right. Right this way, gent.
Okay. So it takes you another like 10 minutes to find your way back, but you get to your ship, and he kind of peruses them and goes, oh, this is very fascinating. Yes, very wonderful. Oh, this one is so colorful.
Yeah, if you notice, he's I'm pretty sure no one's ever heard of this kind of deity worship before.
Oh, yes, I've seen this before. It's,
Friggin' seriously?
What?
Really?
Yes, I'm very, very well read. It shows up every, few hundred years. A little cult will pop up somewhere talking about the rightful ruler and all these other things. They tend to be mostly harmless. Mostly.
Trust me, they weren't.
No.
Well, it's good information. I've never seen quite as complete a collection as I've seen here. What is your price for it?
Now, Jody, in total, is a quarter of our hold, dozens and dozens of books, 20, 30, less than, more than?
I'd say probably the equivalent of, like, you see my bookshelves here?
Yeah.
That. Like that full of books. So you're probably talking 60, 70 books easily.
Okay. I know, like, a lot of books aren't cheap, and these are definitely a wide variety of notations there.
You do get the feeling that he's waiting for you to say a number. Like you have
Yeah.
absolutely tried to get him to say a number first, and he is 100% not willing to do it.
He knows better.
He seems to be very well trained in the economic arts.
Smegwick, as well as Spitwit, relaying a message to Spitwit, to Reggie. Stack of books, question mark. Can I roll insight to see what might be a good idea, or something else? Arcana?
I would
know.
say you personally would not have a comparison point as far as
Well, because I know
how
about books
much
in
is-
general.
You know books in general. You personally, because of your background, would not know
Even with
what
library?
what to charge for this. Reggie might.
Well, I'm willing to give it a shot. Could I do like a
It'd be a
considering
history.
my?
It'd be a history to check.
I was actually just about to ask history. All right. So just a basic history check. Nothing
just
added
straight up
onto it.
History.
All right.
Smegwick's gonna be like,
I remember nothing.
Yeah. Again, you've seen book collections like this sold in high societies. For the life of you, you cannot remember how much they sold for before.
Yeah, prices depending on the merchant and the book, they're all over the place.
Yeah,
So,
neither can
what
I.
is your price?
well, Smegwick does know that books aren't, like, most books aren't cheap. Well, unfortunately, at this point, he has to ballpark. I'll tell you what, go in here and there. How much? Like, I don't know how much you're willing to spend. Let's see, if we just go by we go by a generous there. Freaking thing. Well, let's start off with most things. Around 400
400
gold.
Gold. Well, you certainly seem to think these are quite valuable.
Well, if you're going above the average price in various print, like, I also don't know about the printing level in this culture world. I would expect like some books. I would 5 gold per.
Okay. 5 gold for just a regular old book. Like you can get most books between 2 silver and a gold.
Okay.
Books that have actual value. Again, you're not 100% certain. He
Okay.
seems to be considering it. Well,
You also seem to know the value of these particular subject matter.
Well, I think 400 is maybe a bit more than I was originally planning to pay for it, but it is a rather complete collection that I haven't seen before, so I guess I can part with 400 gold pieces for it.
Smegwick to Spitwit to Reggie. It's just like it's the ideas. It's not words. It's just the expletive of mother. Like he bid too low.
So,
am I able to like respond through Spitwit?
not really. Like
Yeah.
Spitwick and Smedwick have a connection because it's his familiar.
Well,
but Spitwick communicates telepathically, but it can't hear.
Oh, okay.
So the
yeah,
reason that
I-
Smegwick and Spitwick can do it is because it's a familiar thing. It's part of
Yeah.
him being the familiar. The rest of it just hear.
I was wondering if Pseudo Dragons if it was two-way or just one way.
No, that's
okay.
They're not technically telepathic. That's how they speak.
Okay.
So
yeah, I then if that's the case, I just respond to Smegwick with just a face that just says like, I know, like these things will happen. Just let it go.
So I'll send some people within the hour to collect the books, and they will have your money for you when they come to collect. I must be getting back to my shop. As much as no one ever visits it, there's always a chance someone will show up, like someone did today. Oh, this has been just a splendid day. No wonders are.
Smegwick goes, it's been a real smash.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to do? Check out at this place, or do you just want to wait for the potion and start heading out again?
I know. I kept suggesting that I want us all to basically get smashed at the bar after all of that, like therapy that happened for that shared therapy. I would actually personally have Reggie go off on his own, not for long, not for maybe only like a little 15 minutes. I'm specifically going to be looking for stuff that came from the plane of water.
Okay. Due to the fact that it's getting a little bit late, that is actually where you're
perfect.
going to end it for today. I figured if you guys are going to leave, we could button it up, but if you guys want to stay, we will deal with that next session. As always, if you missed any part of this, I do upload all of these to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TutorTrainerJody. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye.